When I first started writing my very first book, I took forever doing it. And part of that was because I literally just had to have every single paragraph perfect. And I would write and rewrite until I felt like it was perfect, even if it took me forever to get through it. And while any words are good words, and I'm always a fan of that, the biggest problem that I ended up having was that I was creating a mishmash of words because I was editing while I was writing instead of just getting the words on the paper. That leads me to tip number 2 for being successful in Nanowrimo, and that is not to edit. I know, that is probably giving some of you guys like the biggest heebie-jeebies ever of like, wait, I have to leave what I've written alone? Don't go back? Don't reread? Don't change things? Don't change my plot? Don't change anything? Oh, just breathe. You'll be okay. I promise. I know it sounds overwhelming, and I know it probably seems like anything that you've ever been told to do and is against the law of the English writing gods. But I promise you for this, you're going to need it. It can take so much time to go back and edit our work even while we are writing. That can be anything from changing a sentence structure to changing what our characters do. I know we all want our stories to be perfect. We want them to be prosy and well written and everything formed properly and our characters to be exact, but that is not what first drafts are for. First drafts are messy. They are so messy. First drafts are where you forget the name of the village that people just left, and so you just write name of village in all caps and know that you'll go back to it later. First drafts are when character names are spelled wrong. You know they're spelled wrong, but maybe you also forgot how you spelled it. Is it a double R or is it a double N? Who knows? But that's a first draft. First drafts are just that messy bits where you just throw everything onto the page. You write as fast as you can. You let the creativity out. For me, I sit and I think about what I'm writing, and then I just let the words flow through my fingers. And I know that sounds really creepy, but that is a little bit like what I do. I did an interview with Charlie Holmberg many, many years ago. And in that interview, we talked about our first drafts process. And she said something that has really just stuck with me throughout all the years. And the quote has probably mutated and changed in my head. So what I'm going to tell you is not what we talked about in that video, in that interview, but it is still right in there. And it's my number one piece of advice that I give to anyone who comes to me, any new aspiring author, or anyone who's stuck in the middle of their first draft. And that is, you cannot build a castle if you do not have sand in your sandbox. And these first drafts are putting the sand in your sandbox. They're getting everything in there so that you can go back and build a beautiful castle. But we don't edit our first drafts. We get our first drafts on the paper. I have changed plot points in secondary drafts. I have added chapters. I have killed characters. I have changed characters. But that's all in my second and my third and my fourth drafts. My first drafts, they're just messy. So for Nanowrimo, especially if you're not used to writing consistently or you're just building a write-a-day habit or any of that, don't worry about the editing. That's for a later date. Right now, you're just getting your sand in the sandbox. You're just building what you need to be able to play. So turn off that editing brain, well, at least as much as you can. And try to have fun. Just get all those words out there and share that creativity magic that is just dwelling in your head, ready to escape. Well, that's all for me today, my fellow creatives. Make sure you subscribe, like, hit the bell, comment, send smoke signals, throw a pigeon at me, all those fun stuff. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad you're here for your writing journey and that we're going to take it together. I'll see you next week.